Paper Mario. It's a series that I love, and you may love too. I'm Joe Pro, and growing up as a kid, I just always wanted to live in the game world of the first Paper Mario. For a 5-year-old kid, it sure felt alive and endearing.
Giving this some more thought lately, I realized there are a ton of mighty fine places to settle down, and there are even more places that I would strongly urge you to stay away from.
With this in mind, I've set out to determine the 5 best and 5 worst places to live in the worlds of Paper Mario.
Entries on this list will come from the first 3 games in particular, not just because I enjoy their richer worlds more, but because those games portray real places with living inhabitants, while the recent games depict artificial crafted worlds.
And personally, I don't want to live amongst glue and scissors.
One last call out, some of these entries will be full-fledged towns, while others will be specific homes that are their own singular point of interest.
Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and check out the exciting topic of real estate in the world of Paper Mario.
Starting off with the 5th worst place I'd ever want to live, we're gonna go with Goomba Village. At first glance, it's a quaint, unassuming little town that doesn't seem too awful, right? But once you look deeper, there are some glaring issues I simply can't ignore. For one, your only neighbors would be the nosy Goomba family, and they're incredibly weird. Goombario is also a traitor, but that's a whole other video. There is the Toad House in town, but that guy's a weirdo too. The other problems with the village are its crumbling infrastructure and rising gang violence. The big city is a far walk away through a sketchy part of town, and there's really not much to do in the village itself, so I don't know. Yeah, sure, there are worse places to live, but living amongst the Goombas is a really terrible idea. For the 5th best place I'd call home in the series, I'm gonna have to go with Merly's Mansion from Super Paper Mario. Located deep in the vibrant Gloam Valley, Merly's Mansion was built 1,500 years ago and is an imposingly beautiful home. It boasts high, vaulted ceilings with 2 stories plus a spacious basement. Included in the asking price is a personal-made Mimi, as well as additional upgrades such as a secure vault, state-of-the-art security systems, and 2 recently renovated bathrooms. Best of all, you'll have no need for a power bill due to the home being built onto its own power grid that is self-sustaining thanks to the hard work and efforts of your very own slave labor camp.
This wonderful package and more, all for the very low asking price of 5 billion rubies.
Faring a bit worse than Goomba Village is our 4th worst place to settle down, Rogueport. Now, if you're well off and can afford the affluent west end of the city, you're not doing half bad for yourself. On the other hand, most Rogueport citizens aren't so privileged, and inhabit the much sketchier town square, east side, and even the dreadful underground. Crime is absolutely soaring in Rogueport, with dangers ranging from pickpockets to full-on murders. Gang violence is common, and the town utilizes the death penalty from time to time for the few criminals it can actually catch. Despite this, property values are still extremely high in Rogueport due to it being the transportation hub for much of the area, and because of the substantial commerce and mercantile activities. So, with all that said, Rogueport is terrible to live in, and it's also extremely expensive. It's a combo of factors that I really cannot recommend. Another truly incredible place to live is undoubtedly Boo's Mansion. Sure, it's located in the depths of Forever Forest, but its gothic architecture is lovely. The square footage is quite high, secret rooms are aplenty, there's even a store with life shrooms, and the ballroom is pure luxury. It's a gorgeous piece of real estate, and one of my top places I want to live in the Mushroom Kingdom. There are certainly some drawbacks, though. The place is perfect for a party, but most of your friends would probably get lost just trying to find it. It's also, well, it's a bit haunted, you know, so that's kind of a whole thing.
But hey, who needs parties or friends or sleep when you can live in the same house as Lady Bo? Yeah, pretty cool.
Located directly adjacent to Boo's Mansion and its privileged inhabitants is the extremely impoverished Gusty Gulch. These Boos are far less fortunate, and it's a shame because some of the Boos here, like Herbert, are some of the kindest folks you'll ever meet. I certainly hope nothing bad ever happens to them. Unfortunately, it can't be ignored that Gusty Gulch has lost its appeal since the desert heat of the south dried up the river and killed off the lush vegetation that once spread across the town. These days, Gusty Gulch's homes have fallen into disrepair, and a local warlord took over the nearby castle. Worst of all, he often frequents the Gulch and snacks on the townsfolk, so I really wouldn't move here if I were you. Let's just leave it at that. The third best place to live that I could think of is the majestic Star Haven. It's an obvious entry on this list due to its scenic location and views, but the residents of the town are the real stars. They're some of the kindest souls you'll ever meet. There's a lot to do around town, and with the Star Spirits looking after things, you'll surely feel safe and secure. The Star Sanctuary is a wonderful tourist attraction with exquisite architecture, and so be sure to spend some time there when the family's in town visiting.
Things aren't looking so good as we go to the second worst place to live in the worlds of Paper Mario.
Despite its serene beauty, Twilight Town is somewhere you do not want to be. Honestly, it wouldn't be such a shabby place to hold up if it weren't for the despicable monster living in the town outskirts. The problem here is that for each toll of the steeple bell, a citizen randomly turns into a pig. And by some twisted fate, if Hefty or Gourmet Guy are in town, you're as good as a plate of pork chop. Anyway, all that to say, it's just a dangerous place to be these days, but the people living there are pretty great. Hopefully in time, things can turn around for the town of Twilight. Madame Fleury is fortunate to live in such a pleasant forest, and her home is magnificent. Personally, I'd have to redecorate before settling in, but it's spacious and contains numerous suite upgrades. I am concerned that there's no built-in bathroom, and with only one bedroom, that means this home is a 1-0, but honestly, it's not the home itself that attracts me to this entry, but the location. The surrounding woods are peaceful and serene and would make for some lovely nature hikes. Particularly in my retirement years, I can imagine living far from civilization, surrounded by nature, would be a nice opportunity. So I'll be keeping my eye on this piece of property in the coming decades.
Well, everybody, that brings us to our final entries, the best and worst places to live. Let's go ahead and start with the worst.
The absolute worst place to find yourself calling home is, of course, the underwear. I mean, come on, it's literally hell, and that's no exaggeration. First of all, almost everyone loses their corporal form and becomes some variety of goon. It's also terrifying, dank, and devoid of happiness or anything to do. There are no homes, so all are homeless, and once you're there, you're stuck. No more relocation, it's game over. I guess it's not all bad though. The atmospheric music is funky and fun, and the cruise over the River Twigs is a relaxing excursion. Just do not fall in. Do not do it. Don't. No. Alrighty then, moving on to something a bit more optimistic for our final entry, the best place to live in the world of Paper Mario. This one is particularly special as I've spent the last 20 years thinking it'd be a lovely place to reside. The winner, of course, is Poshley Heights. This shouldn't come as a surprise as the citizens of the greater Rogueport region all hype the town up regularly, and it lives up to all expectations. Reached only by transit on the exquisite Excess Express, you'll feel privileged as you step off the locomotive onto the marble steps of Poshley Station. It's a pristine town with wonderful food, a 5-star hotel, fabulous mountains, impressive architecture, and a fascinating landmark in Poshley Sanctum. The Sanctum brings in an abundance of tourism that fuels the local economy, and since Poshley residents get free admission, you'll be sure to frequent the Sanctum regularly. To be honest, Poshley Heights has no drawbacks. The snobby neighbors would probably be the only downside, as their elitist attitudes take some getting used to, but hey, just ignore them. I will give one word of advice. Though this swimming pool may seem enticing at first, I would recommend against going in. A nibble calls this pool its home.
And it will chomp your butt, speaking from some experience here. So, as they would always tell me in swim lessons, if you see a fin, don't get in. If you get in the water, it'll be a slaughter.
Well friends, that is my list. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the very alive world of Paper Mario from someone that's incredibly passionate about these games.
Let me know in the comments where your dream destination is. I'm sure I left out plenty of wonderful locations from the Paper Mario games, so please, I'd love to hear them. Go ahead and justify them and leave them down below. Also, please subscribe. I have a lot more Paper Mario Month videos still to come over the next week or so look forward to sharing those. I think that's all I got, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.